Tomorrow, Spain and Argentina will play the 104th and final match of the 2026 World Cup. Yes, 104 matches. Because apparently, after 64 matches in Qatar, football fans everywhere said, you know what this tournament needs? 40 more games. So FIFA listened, something it is famous for doing, and gave us the biggest World Cup in history. 48 teams, 12 groups, 16 host cities, 3 enormous countries, and almost 40 days of football. FIFA called it more inclusive, which is true. It was also more profitable. Pure coincidence, obviously. Let's start with the good part, because there genuinely was one. The expanded World Cup gave more countries from Africa, Asia, North America, and Oceania the opportunity to qualify. Smaller nations reached the biggest stage, created historic moments, and gave millions of supporters the chance to experience a World Cup involving their own country. That matters. For a developing football nation, qualification can increase investment, inspire young players, and change the sport's future. The new teams were not the problem. The problem was FIFA taking a good idea and inflating it until it needed its own airport terminal. 48 teams entered the tournament, but after the group stage, 32 were still there. That's right, FIFA staged 72 group matches to eliminate just 16 teams. 2/3 of the tournament advanced. At that point, why eliminate anyone? Give every team a participation trophy, play the national anthems, and move directly to the round of 48. Even finishing third in your group could be enough. 8 third-place teams advanced, because nothing creates sporting jeopardy quite like losing several games and then checking a spreadsheet to discover you've qualified. The old group stage felt ruthless. One mistake could send a major country home. This version often felt like an extremely long sorting process designed to decide who would face Spain, Argentina, or France in the next round. Then came the brand new round of 32. FIFA promoted it as more knockout football, which sounds fantastic, until you realize it also meant another match for exhausted players, and in many cases, another opportunity for a favorite to eliminate a weaker team. The World Cup used to become truly serious at the round of 16. Now it becomes serious at the round of 32, or maybe the round of 16, or possibly the quarterfinals. Don't worry, you only need to watch around 90 matches before finding out. The finalists will play 8 matches instead of 7. That extra game comes after players have already completed long domestic seasons, European competitions, and international qualifiers. But player fatigue is a small price to pay for an additional global television window. The supporters had their own endurance competition. This tournament contained 104 matches, 40 more than the previous World Cup. Watching every game became less like enjoying a sporting event and more like accepting a full-time position at FIFA. World Cup matches once felt rare. Every kickoff mattered. Here, if you missed one, don't worry. Another started approximately 17 seconds later. And then there was the travel. The tournament spread across Canada, Mexico, and the United States. That sounds wonderfully international until you remember that these countries cover a large portion of an entire continent. Teams and supporters traveled enormous distances between cities, dealt with different climates, and paid North American travel prices for the privilege. FIFA also introduced mandatory hydration breaks in every match, even when the weather didn't always require one. Officially, these protected the players. Conveniently, they also created a perfectly timed interruption in each half. But once again, any resemblance to an advertising break was surely accidental. This World Cup also leaned heavily into the American mega event model, bigger ceremonies, more celebrity appearances, and for the first time, a World Cup final halftime show. Because when people watch the most important football match on earth, their main complaint is usually, could someone please interrupt this with a concert? Football was no longer enough. It needed to become a complete entertainment product. More countries, more matches, more content, more sponsors, more ticket sales, more everything except simplicity. And after 48 teams, 104 matches, and almost 40 days, who reached the final? Spain and Argentina, 2 global giants. So FIFA expanded participation, but it didn't exactly overthrow football's ruling class. Smaller nations received more access, which is valuable, but the expanded format also gave powerful teams more room to recover from mistakes and another knockout round to assert their superior depth. The World Cup became more inclusive at the entrance. At the finish line, it looked remarkably familiar. So was the 48-team format a success? It depends on what FIFA was trying to achieve. If the objective was to give more countries a World Cup experience, then yes. If the objective was to create a sharper, more dramatic, and more manageable tournament, then absolutely not. And if the objective was to create 40 additional matches to sell around the world, a historic triumph. The lesson isn't that smaller countries don't belong. They absolutely do. The lesson is that inclusion and excess are not the same thing. FIFA could have created a more global tournament without making the group stage feel like qualification for another group stage. The 2026 World Cup gave us great goals, major upsets, and unforgettable stories. Great players can make almost any format entertaining. But that doesn't mean the format deserves the credit. FIFA made the World Cup bigger than ever. Tomorrow, it will tell us that bigger means better. After 104 matches, I'm still waiting for the evidence.